Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to a mobile edition of the Shift Report. I am your hostess, Janie Garner, and it is raining like hell in Nashville, Tennessee. Just FYI, they have like flood warnings and all this craziness, and it's like raining, and my hair is frizzy and raining. But what happened this morning was that I traveled to Nashville yesterday for RaDonda Vaught's arraignment hearing. And actually, her criminal attorney, because of course she's been charged with a crime for this medication error that ultimately may have resulted in this patient's death, her criminal lawyer said it was the most people he had ever seen show up to an arraignment hearing.
My reaction really is to all the colleagues of Ms. Vaught that have taken time away from their work and their lives to be here for an arraignment. I've been doing this for a long time. As both a prosecutor and a criminal defense lawyer, I've never seen this many people appear for arraignment. And I think it's a real testament to RaDonda Vaught, how they feel about her and how they feel about the issues in this case.
It goes without saying, why are they not guilty? What's the decision?
Well, this is the beginning of the process. Obviously, she is not guilty. She maintains her innocence. I think when all the facts come out in this case, it's going to be pretty clear that this was a mistake. And I think it's really significant that she acknowledged from the very beginning that there was a mistake that was made. And I think when this case is tried and the facts come out, it's a mistake. It's not all of her fault either. There are some real systemic problems with the way that they dispense medicine through that automatic dispense system. So those are things that will be discussed in the case. I was shocked that the district attorney would bring criminal charges in a case like this. I think it's also significant that the Tennessee Board of Health took a look at this, and after about 9 months of considering all the facts and circumstances and doing their own thorough investigation, decided that they were going to take no action against RaDonda's license.
What kind of precedents do you think this sets for the medical community and for other nurses?
I think it sets a terrible precedent, and I think that's why these nurses are here today, and they're letting everybody know that it is just patently unfair to charge a nurse with criminal offenses based on something that's nothing more than an accident or a mistake.
How much fault do you think Vanderbilt has in all of this?
Well, that's something, I haven't seen any of the discovery yet, but I think that Vanderbilt does bear a large part of the fault of this. And I don't know how supportive Vanderbilt has been of RaDonda Vaught in this process. I don't know if ultimately she's sort of a fall person for Vanderbilt in this. So those are a lot of the issues that I think are going to come up as we investigate this case. Because again, this is the very beginning. The next step is I'll file a motion, a little form motion requesting the discovery of the case, and that will tell us a lot about what the state is basing these charges on.
When do you think you're going to file that motion?
Today.
Ms. Vaught, can you talk about the support that you are receiving today? I mean, this must mean a lot to you.
I think she's going to reserve her comments for a later date, but obviously
just
she's...
even about the support, not about the case, but just the support you're receiving.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious.
How do you feel about it? What is your level like since these charges?
I think it's been completely upside down. This has been devastating to be charged in a criminal case. She is an excellent nurse. She is a compassionate nurse. She's a caring nurse. She's an excellently trained nurse. And to be charged in a criminal case is something that, to me, is not fathomable. I don't think she ever expected in her wildest dream that she would be here today. She never tried to hide what happened. When this happened, immediately was transparent. She's been interviewed I don't know how many times by all manner of medical personnel and investigators, and has never once refused to acknowledge what happened, to explain what happened. And I think that played a large part in the Department of Health, finding that there was no problems with her license and reinstated her.
Has Ms. Vaught worked as a nurse since she left Vanderbilt?
She did have a job after she left Vanderbilt, yes.
Does she still have that nursing job now?
She's not working right now.
Did she lose that job after Vanderbilt because of this case?
I don't know enough about that to comment on it, but after it became obvious that there was going to be a criminal investigation and criminal charges, she elected that she was not going to be working.
What has that been like, just not being able to work? It sounds like this was a passion.
It really is a passion of hers, and that's going to have to be put on the shelf for a while. She's just, under these circumstances, simply not able to work.
Are any of your nursing friends would like to just speak as far as the support? Is there anyone that would-
What is your name?
Marguerite McBride.
What would you like to say something in support of Ms. Vaught?
I would just like to say that I've worked with her closely and personally in the ICU, and that she's a caring, wonderful nurse, and that this is a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy, and it sets a terrible precedent for all of us. And none of us should have to fear for our licenses. None of us should have to fear that a mistake, even a tragic one, would devastate not only the lives of the patient, but our family and our whole life. And I just feel like more nurses need to come for all future dates. She needs to be shown all the support. Vanderbilt should be supporting her, and shame on them for not.
And it seems like the support is really not just in locally, but across the country.
Absolutely, absolutely. Show me your stethoscope. The website and Facebook has just been tremendously supportive.
Is there anyone in this group of supporters here who came from out of state to attend this hearing?
I did.
It's just been an overwhelming amount of support, and I'm very thankful that I picked a profession with such generous and loving people. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's said a prayer or called or emailed or reached out in some way. Just thank you to them.
So that should tell you how people feel about RaDonda's case and the terrible precedent that is being set here, making medication errors a criminal offense. Even ANA this morning came out with a statement about this and about how this should be peer review and root cause analysis. And frankly, I was thinking today that it is impossible for RaDonda to get a jury of her peers, because really lay people are not her peers in this setting, because they don't understand how hospitals work and what the pressures are to do certain things. And I mean, how do you get a jury of your peers? I also found out today from RaDonda's attorney that the Tennessee Board of Nursing has declined to put any discipline on RaDonda's license. So I think that should probably make some of you change your mind about how you feel about this case. We all know the Board of Nursing is there to protect the public, and they did not see any reason to discipline RaDonda's license. They did a 9-month-long investigation, and they didn't discipline her license, guys. I decided to donate to that and share it, because honestly, this could be any of you. Tell me for real if you think that the Board of Nursing would not have disciplined her license. I mean, the Board of Nursing disciplines your license for just about anything. And they declined to discipline her license in this case. So I am really concerned about what happened here. I think there's a lot of stuff we don't know that the Board of Nursing knows. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of any documentation from their hearings. Not sure if I can or not. I think it's public record, but I'm going to try to do that. And we're also looking at T-shirts and stuff, but I'm trying to ask RaDonda to make accounts for that, because I don't want it to look like Show Me Your Stethoscope's trying to make any money off RaDonda's tragedy. I don't want to have our hands in the money at all. So that's why I asked her to create a GoFundMe, kind of bullied her into it a little bit. That's why I'm asking her to create an account for so we can get some shirts designed so people can wear them to support her, and also, of course, she can make some money. Toward her defense. Her defense is probably going to cost $150,000, guys, and we're up to about 72. So we need to make $78,000 more for RaDonda to be able to get a fair shake, even. This is not something you want a public defender on, guys. And it's way more. And also, there's an attorney that's dealing with the medical stuff, and it's not, this is not an easy case. This is super complicated, and honestly, the attorneys involved have, like, the defense attorneys are like, why is this even being prosecuted? This is a medical error. It is not prosecuted generally in criminal court. This is a civil matter, which is what we've been saying the whole time. Yes, something needs to happen. Perhaps Tennessee may want to discipline her license. You know, she might be sued for malpractice, but criminal? I mean, criminal? You know, and again, now we've found out that, in fact, Tennessee chose not to discipline her license up to this point. So, and they had 9 months. They apparently looked at it for 9 months. So I hope that you guys decide to support RaDonda. I hope you decide to give to her GoFundMe. Here's a link. I hope that you decide to share that GoFundMe. I hope you decide to be there for her. The CMS was pretty damning. You're going to need a lot of compelling evidence to prove otherwise. Well, Dominic, that's what they're doing. So we'll see what happens. The CMS report to me was very damning for Vanderbilt, honestly. But, you know, Lori Watts, Vitino, apparently Nightingale. If you don't know the difference between Versed and Vecuronium, you should not be able to practice nursing. So in a lot of settings, people don't use Vecuronium and they don't know what it is. Just going to help you with that. Second, it was a medication error. They happen all the time. VE. It's a terrible thing. And let's not forget Charlene Murphy. Let's not forget her. You know, she died, and there's no taking that back, ever. But what we're doing here is making patients less safe, not more safe, by encouraging nurses to not come forward with their errors, because RaDonda Vaught came forward with her error immediately. She has been completely transparent throughout the throughout this entire proceeding. I mean, there was never a point where she lied, which is more than we can say about certain companies involved with this. I just hope that we are able to support her and see her through, and also to recall that this can happen to you. You think it can't, but it can. Oh, well, thanks, Stacy. I mean, you think it can't happen to you, but it can happen. And if you really think it can't happen to you, you're more dangerous than you know. This is something that can happen to literally any nurse practicing. And if you truly believe that it can't happen to you, you're dangerous. You are very dangerous. And possibly you don't know that you have already made many medication errors. So if you don't turn your patient and they develop a pressure ulcer and die, that's now criminal. Careful, people. Be careful where you throw your stones. Right. See, because this is a terrible precedent to set. This is the precedent of our nurses going to be criminally prosecuted for any mistake they make. Not doing mouth care and the patient gets pneumonia, you know, in the ICU. How many coworkers did I have that didn't do mouth care as often as I would do? How many, what's next? Because if you think it's going to stop with Vecuronium and Versed, you're crazy. It's not going to stop. This is a slippery slope, and people will die because we made this a crime. People will die. So, you know. Gayla says, doesn't there have to be an intent for harm for it to be criminal? Apparently not. Jackie, awesome support from Janie and all of us who will not let this nurse go through this alone. Yeah, our job is so damn stressful. Our liability is huge, very slippery slope. A med error can be as simple as giving a medication late. So if you give an antibiotic late, an hour late, 2 hours late, and the patient the next day dies of their pneumonia, is that your fault? Are you going to be charged with reckless homicide? See, all of you who are very, staunch dissenters, I guess, about this, it's an issue because you are actually living in the fantasy world where this can't happen to you. How terrifying is that? We have the DA as a professor for Vanderbilt. Isn't that a huge conflict? He is an associate professor for the law school, and I'm sure that her really good criminal attorney will address any of that. What was said at court? What was said was that she pled not guilty, and that was it. The next court date, if you guys want to mark your calendars, the next court date we believe is going to be April 11th, if you want to come and show up. Is RaDonda doing okay? RaDonda appears to be a really strong person and a really moral person as well. She was cracking jokes and doing the nurse thing and not letting anybody care about her. Also, she bought my coffee because I didn't have any cash on me and we were all in a restaurant after the thing. She's doing okay, but she's doing as okay as she can do. Would you be okay? That's the question. Elise, I just want to comment that in my 9 years as a nurse, I had never encountered vecuronium, nor had I heard of it. Having not worked in critical care of the OR, where I assume this is primarily used, I would have no reason to know or use these types of medications. So, yeah, guys, any mistake can happen to pretty much any one of us if we get distracted for a second, and if you don't think that that's the case, God help you. MDs don't even get reckless homicide for misdiagnoses or errors in procedures, and that is something that is also an issue. There have, of course, been physicians charged with crimes for things, but normally they're pretty out there. This was very much a system problem. For any nurse to be able to act like this can't happen to any of us is just ignorant. No way should this be a criminal matter unless there is intent involved. My prayers are with RaDonda and the nursing field. It just gets worse and worse. This is so crazy. As a newer nurse to this profession, it's terrifying. The people that go to work with the intention to save lives can make a mistake and it dismantle your life. Dominic, it has a red cap with paralyzing agent, right, where you literally have to inject the fluid for reconstitution. Yes, some of them do. You're correct. Some of them do. However, welcome to the world where everybody can make a mistake. And don't assume it can't happen to you. We might be talking about you next week. My biggest question is, why would VEC be available in an MRI suite? It wasn't. It was in the ICU. And there was no medication barcode scanning available. And I'm going to assume, I didn't ask her, but I am going to assume that she was not familiar with vecuronium. Because, those of us who give Versed often, which I do all day like candy, no, it's not ever reconstituted. So there you go. It's a pleasure meeting you today, says Alicia. Thanks for showing support for RaDonda and our nursing community. Yeah, no problem. I like the lawyer. Thanks for encouraging the GoFundMe to her. Yeah, she needs that GoFundMe. I know she didn't want to start it, but she needs it because it's going to cost $150,000 at least to defend her. I'm on the fence on this. Jeanette, everybody's on the fence, and the thing is that the real question here is, do we want to be able to be charged with crimes, actual crimes for medication error? And you can say, but it should have, but this, and it's still, remember, this is a slippery slope, okay? Ohio Hospice RN Heather says, thanks for representing us. Hey guys, I'm representing me, and I am trying to raise awareness because I think that a whole lot of people really believe this can't happen to them and they're wrong. Just saying. Dominic Wellenzak. Hey, Dominic, here's the thing. We've all read this CMS report. And RaDonda made statements in that CMS report about all that stuff, so you should read that. But frankly, I'm going to assume, and sorry, Kelly was calling me. I'm going to assume you're a nurse here. And I'm just going to say, the more you say that, the more I know that you think that this couldn't happen to you. And you're wrong, which makes you dangerous. Just saying. So there's a physician in my area who neither lost their license nor served time in prison for making a huge error in her practice that was found to have caused her patient permanent damage. He couldn't lose his hands and he almost died. Loss of wages, da-da-da. Yeah. So, and the thing is that this is definitely a civil case. I mean, could you call it malpractice or negligence? Sure. But that's a civil case, not a criminal one. So I am super excited about being here for RaDonda. If you want to go ahead and make some plans to be here on April 11th, that's going to be the next court date. And I love you guys. And I will talk to you on another episode of The Shift Report.